Who would have thought that Samuel Leroy Jackson, a kid with a stutter from Tennessee, would go on to become a world-famous actor who's delivered some of the most famous monologues in cinematic history? Known simply as Sam, at college he changed his major to drama after his speech therapist suggested that auditioning for a play might help with his impediment. It did, and he found his calling. Sam's life has had its fair share of ups and downs, and it's been a relatively rocky road to the top. He moved to New York early in his career and landed several small roles on stage and TV, but was derailed after developing alcoholism and cocaine addiction. Soon after, he met the man who would become his mentor, Morgan Freeman, and later another mentor, Spike Lee, who cast him in a few of his movies, most notably 1989's Do the Right Thing.
I remember being locked up in a hot-ass radio studio because everybody else was outside. I had no air conditioning in there, and they only came in there when it was raining because I was a cover set. So I sat in there, I slept a lot, I looked out the window, wished I was outdoors working with all the guys that were outdoors, and kind of wishing I had a bigger part, but it turned out great for me.
Always one to speak up, Samuel became a passionate civil rights activist early on. As a student, he was part of a group that held members of the College Board of Trustees hostage to demand equal rights reforms. He was charged, given a criminal record, and suspended from college for 2 years. While suspended, he worked as a social worker where he met others involved in the Black Power movement.
I grew up in a very segregated society, so it was different and kind of taboo and all that. So younger people that have grown up interacting with other cultures don't have those attitudes. I mean, maybe we're probably a generation and a half away from people remembering when nobody interacted that way.
In the early 90s, his cocaine addiction worsened until after an overdose, his family sent him to rehab. After he got clean, he went on to play a drug addict in Jungle Fever. But it was 1994's Pulp Fiction that was his big break. Working under the direction of Quentin Tarantino and opposite John Travolta, brought out his best.
It looks like we've known each other forever, but we spent 2 weeks rehearsing, and John and I spent a lot of time together. And every day when we got to work, we spent hours together in the makeup trailer, laughing and joking and kind of hanging out.
What many don't realise is that Sam was 46 years old when he starred in Pulp Fiction, making him a late bloomer. The benefit of hitting the big time later in life means you have plenty of life experience to draw from.
Well, I have my own technique of making up biographies for my characters. I created a total backstory for Jules that led him through a life with Marcellus in kiddie gangs. He'd been in and out of institutions all his life. He had been playing God for a very long time during his life, having the power of life and death over all these people that he confronted on a daily or life basis. And all of a sudden, when that was taken from him, it made him reassess what he'd been doing and where he was headed. And it's very easy to tap into those kinds of things if you've ever had life-changing things happen to you. I mean, my life has turned left, turned right, gone up, not gone down very far. But I've had things happen that made me reassess the things that I was doing and how I was doing them. And I just used that.
Samuel L. Jackson films like Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown have some of the coolest soundtracks in history. They also show fairly extreme violence. But for Sam, he doesn't feel that on-screen violence leads to more violence in the streets.
Heck no, it's always been around. I mean, people have, their own ideas about morality and sensibility. That's what, violence stems from, all those kinds of things. I mean, I played with guns and did all this stuff all my life, played cops and robbers with cowboys and Indians and everything else, and I never shot anybody for real. It's all make-believe. It's what goes on in people's lives and their, moral makeup and what goes on around in their society or the kind of backgrounds and values that they have that cause them not to value life in a real kind of way. We have nothing to do with that. We're entertainers.
He's always been a big comic books fan, so when Marvel Comics asked for his permission to design the ultimate version of Nick Fury using his likeness, he was thrilled.
I've always read comics. I've always liked them. I like the visual aspect of them. I like the idea that they're pure morality tales, basically good versus evil. They're a whole books that are written with illustrations and everything else on them that are, fascinating.
That fascination and childhood love has worked itself into the types of roles Jackson has gone for as an adult. He played a comic book dealer in Unbreakable and has had roles in Astro Boy, The Spirit, Star Wars, Iron Man and Jumper.
Well, I like science fiction. I like action adventure. I like the concept of being able to teleport. It's sort of like a kid's game that we've all played.
Actors often talk about the pressure involved in taking on a biopic. Out of respect for the person they're playing and their remaining family, they want to accurately portray the person. Well, in Coach Carter, Jackson went one further and played a man who's still alive.
Playing a guy who's still around is, an interesting challenge. Watching him from day to day, watch us do his life, meeting him, trying to grab the charisma, the energy, the determination of his character, and translate that to the scenes and an audience. Is a fun and kind of great thing to do.
Having had mentors that have helped him in his life, Sam felt a responsibility to be there for the kids that start alongside him.
I love working with those guys. They brought a lot of energy every day. They kind of revitalized me. We laughed a lot. I was sort of like a mentor in some senses. I was always on time, in place, knew my lines, knew their lines. Told them it's okay to say I don't know. It's serious business making films, but we can have fun while we do it, so it was always great to be around them.
Don't they say you should never work with kids or animals? Well, Sam went from one to another. Snakes on a Plane was a phenomenon before it was even released. An amazing title and cast, mixed with a ridiculous storyline, created a huge buzz online.
A lot of people don't like flying. Most people don't like snakes. It's sort of a safe and exciting way to kind of confront that fear. It's kind of like coming to work and getting on a big amusement park ride. Act brave and kill snakes and save the day.
Many don't know Samuel is actually bald, but he enjoys wearing unusual wigs in films. Aside from his lack of hair, his body's holding up pretty well.
There's running, there's jumping, there's kicking, there's, swinging, fighting, falling, jumping off high spaces and landing on things with old knees. And sometimes there are 3 people in a scene, being one person that I'm fighting at once. So I have to fight him here, 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 behind that, over there, turn this way. So it's been challenging. Luckily, I stay in decent physical conditions. I'm able to still maintain and do a lot of the stuff they want me to do when they have to be close and know it's me. It's been a great amount of fun.
It sounds fun. He's played some very cool characters and some very out there characters. From badass hitman Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction to Mace Windu in the latest Star Wars films.
It's really the stuff that films were created to do early on, to take people out of themselves, to go to a darkened space and experience something with these people that are doing stuff that's very foreign to you, that you can go home and not be touched by, but you can talk about it and kind of say, boy, you remember that thing, wasn't that great? Right. And it's the same thing we did as a kids. We're here playing kids games on screen. We're playing cops and robbers, and we're chasing each other, and we're shooting stuff, and we're jumping off stuff, and we're going fast, and we're having a great time, but we're getting paid for it.
And getting paid very well. These days, he's pulling in big paychecks for his work, but being able to separate work life from personal life is very important for his sanity.
I actually treat all this like it's a great kind of interesting kind of game to go in and see if you can explore that emotion. And when somebody says cut, you kind of let it go and get back to your life. I don't sit at home and get sad before I go to work so I can do a great, deep emotional scene, and I don't feel that way when I leave work today. Go, boy, this was a sad, emotional day, huh? It's always a great day to go to work and be on a movie set. It's a movie set.
These days, he's in huge demand, averaging 5 films a year. And although that may sound like a lot of work for a man in his 60s, he loves it.
I like going to work. I have a job that I like, and I don't mind going. And in the greater context of things, you realize that some of those jobs took 4 days. Like Star Wars last year took me 4 days. I was on that set for 4 days. I did it. I was out. I moved on to the next job. Some jobs take 2 weeks. Some jobs take 4 months.
And if you are doing a job that takes 4 months, within that 4 months, you probably have a month off quantitatively over the time that you're working. It's possible to like run in and do something. And last year I was doing Sphere and Jackie Brown at the same time. So it was, it's easy to do 5 films like that. I enjoy working a lot more than not working, as opposed to what most people think, Most people like holidays. I always tend to think of my job as a holiday.
So, with such a demanding schedule, how does he avoid burning himself out and keep audiences interested?
I would like to think it's been because of diversity, because I found a way to reinvent myself most of the times that you see me on film, that I take roles that are challenging to me and somewhat challenging to the audiences when they see me, so that they'll accept me as somebody new and not just Samuel L. Jackson again. So I try and do that as often as I possibly can, and choose things that don't insult their intelligence, that allow them to come in and enjoy themselves and to engage in the film and not separate, and to be part of the process with me.
It's this diversity and the plethora of roles he's played that have made Samuel L. Jackson a megastar. From the lows of Rehab to the highs of being one of the biggest grossing box office stars of all time. Stay tuned to Star Picks for all the movies you know and the actors you love. Broadcast in glorious high definition with 5.1 surround sound where available. For more of the best in entertainment news, check out your Movie Network channels. It's altogether better, on screen and at mnc.tv.